Our veteran today is being sponsored by Representative Kennedy. Representative Kennedy, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, obviously, given my background, this is one of the things that's most special for me to introduce the veteran of the day. Mr. Ground, First Lieutenant Ground, served in Korea. He went to Oklahoma A&M. If you don't know what that is, that's Oklahoma State University. I'll say it every now and then, but got a degree in engineering, went to Korea, is a Purple Heart recipient. And I will tell you that for those veterans in the room, and they know this, we hear a lot about the wars in World War II, World War I, Vietnam, but Korea, not only did they fight the battles that they fought, but they had to fight the elements. And so people in Korea basically almost froze to death, and I'm sure that Mr. Ground could attest to that. His granddaughter is Adria Berry, many of you know, and then his son is Bud Ground. He decided at the ripe old age of 80 that I don't think he decided he needed to retire, but I think his family said, we want you to retire and move back home. But I'm very proud to have Mr. Ground with me today, and I'd ask Mr. Speaker to have the clerk read the citation.
Clerk, read the citation.
Whereas First Lieutenant Perry Ground attended the Oklahoma Military Academy in Claremore, Oklahoma, where he was the highest-ranking cadet and squadron leader. He went on to study engineering at Oklahoma A&M University, known now as Oklahoma State University. And whereas Perry Ground joined the Army as a second lieutenant and was soon after sent into battle in the Chorwan Valley, Korea, where it was extremely cold in the winter. During his time in Korea, he served as a leader of the 2nd Platoon Rank Company, 2nd Battalion, and 3rd Infantry Division. And whereas First Lieutenant Ground's perseverance and total dedication to duty reflected great credit upon himself, and were in keeping with the highest traditions the United States Army, resulting in receiving the Bronze Star and the Purple Heart for heroism, saving the life of a fellow soldier while being wounded in combat. First Lieutenant Ground also received the Combat Infantryman's Badge, Defense Distinguished Service Medal, and Korean War Service Medal. And whereas the state of Oklahoma holds our veterans in the highest esteem and appreciates the sacrifices and contributions they have made to preserve our freedoms and way of life. And whereas the Oklahoma House of Representatives on the first session of the 57th Legislature takes great pride in honoring you as Veteran of the Week. Now, therefore, pursuant to the motion of Representative Chris Kennedy, and the state of Oklahoma extends to Perry Ground sincere commendations and directs that this citation be presented.
Guys, we're going to make it. I didn't recognize you now. Mr. Speaker, I spoke to Lieutenant Ground before, and he requested that he be allowed to say a few words. He said he'd keep it under an hour. So if you could recognize Lieutenant Ground.
Lieutenant Ground, you're recognized for some comments, then to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
He said I could only have a few words, and I've got 1,000 stories. But one in particular, we had a big push. Chinese overran the positions. They pulled back. The next day, me and 2 sergeants were checking the area behind my bunker, and I happened to look down and I saw something in a little place that had been cut out. It was a Chinese soldier. I told the sergeant, pull him out, see who it is, what is. And we pulled him out there, and it was a 14-year-old boy. He had no food. He had no identification. He had no weapons. He was so scared. He was shaking like that. So I said, you realize that if we bring in a prisoner of war, they'll give us 3 days in Seoul. That's like going for 3 days in the middle of the ocean. Anyway, we took the 3 days in Seoul. When we brought him in, we left him with the MP company. I said, this is a prisoner of war. I want you to promise me to take care of him. They said, we will. But a 14-year-old boy was there without anything. I wanted to hug him. And I was so sorry, but that's war. Everything was about the same as that. It was exciting, but it wasn't where you wanted to be. And I wanted to bring up one more point. I'm a graduate of OMA in Claremore. I made squadron commander. That was the thing. I met President Truman. I met Susan Hayward from the show Tuesday. I did everything as a squadron commander. That's what I wanted. I was going to stay in the Army. I had a commission. I was a distinguished military student. I had an appointment to West Point. When I got through with Kerr, I said, that's enough. So I came home. I'm a professional engineer and have been in Oklahoma and Texas for 60 years. I built in Siberia, Saudi Arabia, been to China, been to 25 countries, and I've walked on the Great Wall of China. So I've done everything I want to do. Now I'm retired, and it's ridiculous. It takes more than what I got to be able to do that. But I thank you all for acknowledging the fact it was there. It wasn't my idea, but thank you.
Would the members and guests in the gallery please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance? Lieutenant Ground, you're recognized to lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United